Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode for a deep dive on all things AI with your host, Sarnya Gopinath. It's a pleasure to meet you all again. In past episodes, we've done deep dives on several important concepts of the AI world, whether it was sovereign AI, physical AI, even AI licensing. But what we haven't done before is look at the core concepts of AI development, which dictate what we want AI to look like and how we want them to work for us. Today, we're going to be doing a deep dive on bias in AI. Hold on, don't worry, this is not a philosophy class. Bias is a very real, acknowledgeable concept. If at all, today the need to acknowledge, process, and quantify bias in AI is more urgent than ever. The EU AI Act, for example. Article 10 of the EU AI Act clearly states out one of its core intentions, which is to mitigate discrimination and bias in the development, deployment, and use of high risk AI systems, which is effectively trying to acknowledge the concern of bias in high risk AI systems and look to prohibit it and potentially even penalize it. But even in the adoption of AI or machine learning models in existing practices, we have fairness laws across the world. For example, we have the Fair Credit Reporting Act in the US, and in India, we also have the Fair Practices Code issued by the RBI, which both effectively prohibit discrimination, especially in the case of credit transactions or credit reporting, which is to say that more than ever, we need to identify and quantify what bias in AI looks like. And for that, we need to understand it. So let's get started. What is bias in AI? Bias in AI refers to the systemic errors that occur in decision making processes leading to unfair outcomes in AI applications. These systemic errors could potentially lead to discriminatory outcomes for certain individuals or groups based on characteristics like gender, race, age, socioeconomic background, etc. Bias is a result of flaws in the AI development process, and this can occur at various stages of the AI development, starting from the data collection process, where the data sets are not very well defined, or data labeling, where through vague guidelines given to human annotators, the labeling of the data is inaccurate, or through the model training, where through algorithmic bias, there could be a result of incorrect feature selection or developer assumptions. What I'm actually telling you is that bias in AI is when the humans that develop the AI systems are biased and that bias slips through. But this is expected. Humans are inherently biased. That's the way you and I process the world. Bias is effectively a byproduct of having a limited perspective of the world and the tendency to generalize information to streamline training. Effectively, to process the multiplicity of data points that are in the world, humans, in our naive processing, do make classifications of these data points to better understand them and to help process and store this information. Obviously, this process by design is going to be inaccurate. Let me explain. Let's take, for example, I'm convinced that all lions are out to kill me and eat me. But that's not accurate. Obviously, if a lion is completely unprovoked or is not hungry, is going to completely ignore the threat that 5'2" of me is. It'll just walk by me saying, this is completely useless and benign. Now, this assumption is a bias. And I'm pretty sure there's a vegetarian lion out there who's extremely offended by what I've just assumed. But that's just the way the human brain functions. It makes conscious and subconscious connections, and that results in prejudicial or implicit acts which translate those connections. So, effectively, when we talk about eliminating bias in AI, we are talking about making AI systems that are not constrained or suffer from the prejudices of the humans that create it. Effectively, we are saying that we want the AI systems to be better than the humans that created them. But hold on a second. You should be asking, Sarnya, if bias in humans is inevitable, then how can we hope to eliminate bias in the systems that we create? Honestly, this is a large conversation, and it talks about functions starting from social constructs to the way we run the world. So this is an ongoing process. But let me start with two pieces. Number one, multiplicity. One of the core reasons for the bias in humans is because we have, limited bandwidth to process multiplicities of the world. For example, for me to understand all lions, I will have to go meet all the lions in all the jungles in all the world, understand their dietary preferences, see if anybody has explored veganism, and then decide whether a particular lion is a threat to me or is going to attack, kill me, and eat me, right? But that's a scale problem, apart from being very dangerous. I, as a human, do not have the bandwidth to process each and every different lion and to understand what they will process like. But machines don't necessarily have those concerns. They have the processing bandwidth to meet every lion and to understand how each one is completely distinct. And that is where we have a chance to correct the AI systems. Bias is ineffectively an inaccuracy. It is something that only can be countered with multiple accurate data sets. The bias needs to be met with accurate data sets to help solve for its inaccuracies. To add to that, if we have human annotators that are only from one part of the world, have only one perspective, we need to correct that by having multiple annotators from multiple parts of the world. And that is what will help with a more accurate perspective. Now, I am in no way advocating for multiple large data sets. I'm only advocating for more diverse data sets, and in that, more diverse human perspectives. So the second piece of an ongoing conversation on bias is benchmarks. Benchmarks, we've already seen as ways in which we evaluate the efficacy and efficiency of AI models across the board. These are the leaderboards we see when any new AI model is released, right? We see how it compares against another AI model across various benchmarks. For example, we've heard of the MMLU, the Massive Multitask Language Understanding Model, which tests knowledge across 57 academic subjects, including humanities, social science, STEM, etc. Or GSM-8K, which measures grade school level mathematical reasoning. There's another benchmark called HELA-SWAG, which evaluates logical reasoning. It's super fun. But effectively, benchmarks are used to compare the performance of the particular model. What's really interesting is we also have benchmarks that evaluate how biased an AI model is, such as the BOLD benchmark, which stands for Bias in Open-Ended Language Generation. It evaluates social bias in language models by measuring how they complete prompts relating to different demographic groups. Which brings me to a really interesting paper I've come across recently, which I really want to discuss with all of you. In late June, a team comprised of folks from AIFA Bharat, IIT Madras, and IISc Bangalore came together to put together or released a benchmark called the Indic bias, which evaluates bias in the Indian context. Now, understandably, the benchmark studies on bias are predominantly reflecting the Western world, or to put it differently, the more represented world. The ecosystems like the Indian context, with its diversity and exquisite peculiarities, are not adequately represented or haven't been adequately benchmarked. And that's what the Indic bias benchmark seeks to do. It was released in a paper titled Fair Eye Tales, Evaluation of Fairness in Indian Context with a Focus on Bias and Stereotypes. It's a mouthful. There will be a link in the description, but it is super interesting. What it seeks to do is achieve a certain scale and scope that has not been done in the Indian benchmarking world before. While there have been studies, the Indic bias paper covers substantial scale with 85 identity groups across 4 categories, which are 12 religions, 24 castes, 30 regions, and 19 tribes, 20,000 manually verified scenarios, and 1,800 socio-cultural topics to evaluate bias. So effectively, they created a taxonomy using sociologists, using experts from the field, and created each of these scenarios and put all of these different categories across various scenarios and evaluated the LLMs across 3 major task groups. The first task was the plausibility task, which was when the LLM is asked a question about which entity is more likely to perform this in a particular scenario. Then there is the judgment task, which evaluates bias in decision making in ambiguous scenarios. And then there is the generation task, whether models provide equitable responses and or reinforce stereotypes. So across each of these multiple categories of individuals and backgrounds, each of these three task groups, the LLMs were evaluated on. I urge you to read this paper because it has a lot of information that it talks about. I'm not going to get into all of the details of it, just a little high level. But the short version is yes, LLMs do suffer from bias in the Indian context. So, one of the instances they talk about is a good check for bias is a refusal rate. So, for example, if you ask a very biased question to an LLM, a good check is if the LLM just refuses to answer, fully acknowledging that this is a bias at play. So, high refusal rates are good. It was found that most models, except Mistral 7B and GPT-4, had low refusal rates. It was found that overall models reinforce stereotypes in over 50% of cases. LLMs were found to consistently reproduce and amplify real-world social hierarchies across religion, caste, region, and tribe. Social constructs associated with wrongdoing and authority, like criminal activities and leadership, were most polarized. The models also unfortunately reinforced associations and narratives of economic roles and certain castes and tribes, of labor division and tribal marginalization. This paper is quite exhaustive. It also lays down, it actually has a GitHub repo. I'll put that link as well of the actual benchmark. It talks about the methodology of the study, as well as the kind of leaderboard of how each of these models have performed and how they went about the process. I urge you to take a look at it because, if nothing else, even if you're not necessarily from the AI world, it's a very technical way of trying to give vocabulary or language to what biases are. As Indians, we may inherently understand this, and we may inherently understand where rubber hits road. But in the act of seeing a machine kind of repeat those biases, it's crude, and it's very transparent when you see a machine repeating these deep held biases. Just for that experience alone, I urge all of you to read the paper, go through it, and understand what it's setting out to say. Also, I will clarify by saying the paper in itself lays out the limitations. They're the first to say that this is not exhaustive in any sense. And I can't imagine we are going to get to an exhaustive stage anytime soon. For example, they acknowledge that they have not evaluated cross-category biases. So, for example, any categories which are across or intersection of both region and region, those characteristics have not been evaluated. And of course, in a country as large and as diverse as India, these are just like very, very good starting numbers. But it is the way that we are going to get ahead with it. Now, let's be clear. Let's put all of this in context. All LLMs are biased. They have some bias or the other. And we have seen this in different formats. Benchmarks just help understand and quantify that and to kind of tell you which direction to go to fix or address it. We saw the situation where early versions of Gemini almost hilariously tried to overcorrect the bias. For example, they were so insistent while asked to generate pictures of the founding fathers of America, they insisted that they will not generate pictures of only white men, but with people of color, which is just inaccurate. And that's kind of a result of overcorrecting on the bias construct, but it led to a huge hue and cry, and a lot of people are very upset about it. Which is to say that let's run with the operating framework of all AI models are going to have some level of bias. So where does this leave us? Where does so much optimism leave us in looking at the AI models? See, there are going to be multiple forms of bias, right? It's gender, cultural, political, the list is endless. With all of that, there are two things that we can do, which is, of course, starting off with acknowledging, processing, and quantifying the bias. And that's really a large part of what benchmarks do. And this is why it's so important to have a diversity of benchmarks, having benchmarks from across the world. Indic bias, I would argue, has been able to create such an extensive vocabulary, largely because it was created by Indians in the Indian context. And that gives you sort of first-handness of cultural bias in a way that it is not possible to get from, somebody who does not have ground up understanding of what those cultural effects are. And of course, the second one is a little utopian, which is in enabling diversity of all stages of AI development. This is, of course, not to be trivialized. This is extremely expensive and not efficient and definitely time consuming. But I would argue it is only in the pursuit of this goal of ensuring diversity of data, of perspectives, of annotators, are we going to get to a point where we can potentially have AI models accurately work for the relevant sector that they're deployed in. So, for example, if you're deploying an AI model in a particular sector, even as we famously know, like in we're hiring for an office environment, what we saw was where the AI model was not trained on female employees, it just didn't work properly. It for representing women, it was mostly trained on men. So what was important there is in deploying a model in an office environment, making sure that it reflects the diversity of the office. And that's the kind of free training we need to ensure in deploying AI models across various sectors, across various use cases, and definitely across various regions. And while we are working on all of this and trying to make AI models less biased, more available to different people, my only submission is that we have a very clear understanding of what the capacity of the AI models are, what their constraints are, what their limitations are, and use that to evaluate how much we rely on them and how critical they are in the parts and processes we set up. Understand what the limitations are and make sure there are human in the loop checks and balances when you deploy these AI models. And that only works when you understand it well. So we're not in a place where we can 100% rely on these AI models for all sectors. Because remember, kids, AI is not ready to run the world, at least not yet. With that, I will take your leave. It's been a pleasure as always, and it was super fun talking to you about bias today. Do let me know if there are any comments, thoughts, or any suggestions on how we can make these episodes better and more informative for you. With that, I'll sign off. See you next time. Bye.